Hello, good evening. Welcome to a very rare Sunday evening podcast as Nottingham Forest closing a trio of signings from Brazil. We'll do a little bit on who they are, tell you a few thoughts on them and what might happen. We shall have more on this, though, 9:30 a.m. tomorrow with Pete and Temps, and then on Tuesday with Nathan Joyce from the Copper Club for some expert insight onto Igor Jesus, Jair Cunha, and Cuiabano. Those are the three players in question from Botafogo. So we'll tell you a bit about them. I might have even butchered some pronunciations there, but we'll try and better them through the week. But moved to do this. I wasn't going to. I was enjoying a few days off. But a David Ornstein tweet from the Athletic saying Forest are closing in on deals for all three. So a little bit of chat about them, try and fill you in on who they are. And I suppose the most exciting one is always the striker, although he might not actually be the best prospect from what we've been hearing, but that is Igor Jesus. So let's start with him, and just bear with me for 1 second if you're watching on YouTube. Igor Jesus, 24-year-old striker from Botafogo, as mentioned, got 4 Brazil caps, and the proposed fee is about 17 million quid, 20 million euros. A little bit of extra insight there, which doesn't really work, from WT Analysis on Twitter. But it basically says that he gets a lot of shots off, really high percentage, and they're mostly good, but he can be a little wayward. And his expected goals, as you can see, is in the bottom quartile for bottom 25% for strikers in his league, and his XG isn't amazing either. So he's not the perfect signing, but he is an interesting one, certainly. And we'll have a few thoughts on him and a bit of background, certainly. So, as mentioned, 4 Brazil caps, 1 goal, scored in his debut, £17 million fee. Interesting about that is £17 million doesn't get you very much at all. If you buy a Premier League striker of any nationality, and certainly an English one, I was thinking of the Cameron Archer deal. He's gone for 15 million quid twice in the last couple of years. So he certainly is an indicator that, you pay a premium and perhaps you're getting a bit of a bargain from Brazil for a £17 million, 24-year-old current Brazil international. Interesting around reports for him. Sorry, sip of lager there if you're listening, not watching. The reports initially suggest he wasn't 100% sold on the move. I think we tried to sign him before and he wanted to stay and finish the season. And now it looks like he wanted to potentially stay and finish the season with Botafogo. But they've accepted the offer and it looks like he's coming to Forest. Started his career in Brazil, obviously. Then spent 4 years in the United Arab Emirates Pro League before moving back to Botafogo for 2.5 million, which is low, but he only has 6 months left on his contract. Interestingly, he was kind of fast-tracked into the Brazil team after that. Only played 19 games for Botafogo before he was drafted in, which is interesting. I mean, it's not a classic Brazil team, as we saw with Murillo when he was, the lamb thrown to the wolves against Argentina on his debut when they lost 4-1. So it's not necessarily a great Brazil team, but he is a Brazil international striker. As mentioned, seven goals in 23 appearances this season. Sort of similar record to what we saw last season. So again, not prolific, but looking at some research, he did his job for the team last season, and he's doing it again this season. Profile of player looks like he's big. Not massive, but strong, stocky, leads the line well, drops deep, links the play, works very hard. I was reading up on him, and in a recent game, his team were down to 10 men, and I think the player was sent off as Jair Cunha. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was. But he worked really hard for the team after that. I think he set up the winner. So he is sort of Chris Wood player, very athletic, more athletic than Wood, but I think you trade off Wood's kind of finishing prowess for what Igor Jesus offers. But I think there's a lot to like about him, certainly. And it seems like a calculated gamble with the fee not being huge. Interestingly, Tim Vickery, who is kind of the foremost South American football expert, was a big fan of his. In the January window, he was touting him for the Premier League. I think Ipswich and West Ham were linked, but he said he'd be a perfect fit for Arsenal in their search for a striker. So that all bodes quite well. So yeah, it looks like he's probably going to sign. I don't think he's in the squad tonight for Botafogo's game. And they're one of the top clubs in Brazil, owned by John Textor, very successful And it sounds like a couple of these players, at least Jair Cunha, were supposed to go to Lyon, who he also owns, but those deals fell through. And we know the link with Lyon because they certainly helped us out last summer by selling Niakate and Mangala for pretty inflated fees, and maybe we're helping them out with some transfer deals, potential cash flow issues. I'm not entirely sure about Lyon's situation, but putting some money into their group because Jair Cunha's deal looked like it was going to happen, and now it's not. Let's look at Jair Cunha. He is 20-year-old central defender, 6'6" tall, big, strong lad. Looks like sort of a mostly Milenkovic type defender, but good on the ball. And he's touted as very exciting prospect. 31 career appearances, started in the Santos Academy, only signed for Botafogo in February, and then again, as mentioned, looked like he might be going to Lyon this summer, but now he's not. Interestingly, Nathan Joyce, as mentioned, who'll be on Tuesday, says he's the most exciting of the three, and another tweet I'll reference says he's the most exciting of the three. So only played 30 career games, 31, but sort of that we all have with Murillo, that bracket of player that if you get in early on this very raw talent, then it can massively benefit you. So not saying he's another Murillo, because I think Murillo's a bit of a freak to come over and do so well as he has. But it looks like Forest are getting in early on a very exciting player. So as mentioned, I watched some highlights of him. YouTube highlights obviously don't tell you everything, but you can see his best attributes. Looks like he reads the game fairly well. Obviously good in the air, being that strong. Fairly decent range of passing. So got all the raw materials to be a success, you think. And as mentioned, a couple of people think he's the most exciting of the trio. The third one is Cuiabano, who is 22 years old, left back. He looked like he was close to joining Brighton a few months ago, and he's also been linked with a lot of Premier League clubs. Man United, Spurs, Bournemouth being the other ones, clubs in Europe and Turkey as well. As mentioned, Brighton seemed the closest to signing him. An attacking left back who looks decent defensively. Looks like he can do it all, and he can play further forwards. I can't spell left if you're watching the YouTube bit there. I've actually spelled that wrong on the graphics. So I look like an idiot. But I got a little bit more insight on him from Nathan, who will be on Tuesday, but we have discussed him briefly when he was on. So I'll just play a short clip from Nathan on Cuiabano.
Cuiabano from Botafogo, if that is true, if it's been linked, I know Brighton are quite close to that particular deal, but if you're fishing in the same pond as Brighton, Forest and Brighton are doing wonders in the South American market, or two teams who actually want to venture out there. But young left back who can also play left midfield as well. He's got a thunderous strike on him. He's 22, looks about 28, but he's got a strong build. Looks tailor-made for European football. So, look, Forest probably need another fullback who can operate in a wing-back left mid role, and it's going to be a fairly cheap deal, quote unquote, around about 10, 12 million if I believe what I've read. But I think Brighton are closer to that. But fishing in the right pond, and the theme from those players was that they're young, right? So whether they're true or not, I think it all depends on, again, Nuno, the competition, etc. I'm not telling you anything new, but it was quite exciting to be linked with Cuiabano.
So not short of a timeline for them. Nathan's right, he doesn't look 22, does he? We shall follow that through the week, obviously, and as mentioned, we shall have more on it in the next few days with Nathan, Temps, and Pete. Not sure on evaluation for Jair Cunha, so we'll see if that emerges, but Murillo cost about 10 million, and you can see from these prices that you can get a lot of value from the Brazilian market, and it'll be good to get some business done. Certainly, one word of caution. I've read one place saying that they'll potentially be signing for the group, so that would be Forest, Olympiacos and Rio Ave. I assume that Edu, if he's officially joined us here, I don't think he has been involved in this deal, and he's working for the group. So we'll wait and see if they are loaned out, if and when they arrive, any of them are loaned out. Another interesting tweet I saw, Mikey flagged it actually, was from a Greek journalist who I think had connections with the ownership going back a few years, interestingly, and I'm going to get his name wrong, for which I apologise. Antonis Economidis. Oh my gosh, I've even said that wrong. Economidis. So yeah, Antonis Economidis, apologies to him for really butchering that. He tweeted, just a quote tweeting David Ornstein's tweet saying none of them are Premier League level. Jair is the most exciting, and I don't know if that's testing the water that potentially one of them might be loaned out, maybe two. We'll wait and see on that. I hope that's not the case because we need to sign players for the Conference League, and the Conference League feels like a good ground to blood. These players, Zach Abbott, a couple of others, and progress us over time. So we'll follow that, but it's of interest, certainly. So, like I say, we are back tomorrow. Just a really short video to say it looks like this is happening. Move to do it because of the David Ornstein tweet, obviously one of the best in the business. And if he says it's close to happening, then it more than likely is. Just a quick reminder of Trent Navigation coming up very soon, actually, a couple of weeks away. 14th of June, 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. the Sex Pistols Expose gig. If you're on YouTube, scan the QR code for the tickets. If you're not, check out fatsoma.com and you can get your tickets for the Sex Pistols Expose there. We're back tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. So do join us for that. If you've enjoyed this very short little primer on these three players, do us a favor, hit like, hit subscribe, consider channel membership or Patreon, or just give us a lovely review on Apple or Spotify. We've got some good stuff, by the way, for members coming up. Just a couple of different interesting podcasts, hopefully, on people around the group, I guess. So, yeah, check that out. Do consider membership or Patreon. If we don't see you tomorrow, have a very good day, everyone. And we shall hopefully see you soon.